Can you imagine being told as a writer, we don't know where to put your book? Sounds weird, right? Yeah, but that is actually what my guest was told. Welcome to the conversation, and I'm your host, Nadine Matheson. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But yeah, my guest, Kelechi Okafor, whose new book, Awakened, is out now, was told we don't know where to put your book. And it's not unusual. I've heard this many times before in previous conversations that I've had. So in my conversation with Kelechi Okafor today, we talk about that moment and we talk about her career, both as an actress, social commentator, presenter, writer, and podcast host. And we talk about societal expectations and identity, and also embracing the chaos of creativity. Now, as always, sit back, or go for a walk and enjoy the conversation. But also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes. So, Kelechi Okafor, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm going to say officially to the listeners, we were having a good old chat before I kept saying we need to start recording this. We were bonding.
Yes. Having a time, really.
We were having a time. So, Kelechi, my first question is, because when I was doing, I've always followed you for years. So it wasn't like I never knew who you were. I've been following you for years. But when I was on your website and I was like, okay, you got your bio. So we got writer, presenter, social commentator, podcast host. What else we have? Fitness instructor.
Yeah.
All of these things. Tarot, all of these things.
Yeah.
But with all these titles, if I was to say, who are you? Who is Kelechi? What would you say?
Before, I would say just the baby girl. I think forever and always just the baby girl. And I think that is a riff off of the Desiderata of Happiness by Max Ehrmann, where he says, and you should never forget that you are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars, right? And so to me, being just the baby girl is just that, like, I'm able to do all of these things because of the opportunities that come my way and because of my kind of expansive, probably audacious belief in myself that's just like, well, I feel like I'm doing that today, so that's what I'm going to do. Because why not? There are really no rules to this life, and we should never lose that childlike wonder and the fervor or the enthusiasm to experiment.
Yeah, I always think whenever someone's asked me, because it's been asked a lot of me recently, why have I done the podcast? And my thing is, because I want to. And because I want to talk and I want to talk to my guests and have conversations. But really, there shouldn't even be a question, because every opportunity is open to you. It's just whether or not you feel not even brave enough, but whether you're willing to take that step. And
to not see the barriers as well, because people will say to you, when we think about podcasting, it has historically been white and male, how we've seen it. And so the idea that, I want a podcast, I just didn't think it was for me. So even when I got into podcasting, even when I got into it, the only reason I got into it was because I started listening to a podcast on the suggestion of one of my friends at the time years ago, and I was listening to The Read, and I feel like that was such a great intro into the world of podcasting. These two queer black folk who were just talking about their lives and the things that they enjoyed in pop culture. And from there, I think that it kind of made me comfortable to then start my own podcast, because there's a space for everything. There's a listener for everyone.
Yeah. Do you think it's weird? Because I always wondered, when you've done other professions and you're like proficient in it, that is your skill, that that world. Do you find it strange, like it's a bit of a mental exercise having to adjust to a new thing? And also like personally asking yourself, oh my God, why am I like that imposter syndrome? Because you're now stepping into this new world.
Yeah, no, because people don't know what they're doing. You look at some of the heads of these companies or these things, people have no clue what they're doing. There are presidents right now that have no business being presidents, right? But because people can just do what they want. Yeah. And we have been abiding by a set of rules for so long that doesn't even serve us. So when you ask the question about how do I see myself, and I said, before, if you would ask me, and always essentially, it's just the baby girl. But recently I changed my title to Mother of London, because I was just like, you know what? I think I might go for Mayor of London in 2028, because why not? What's the worst that can happen? I just don't win. But if I do, it's going to be a wild time for everybody.
But that's the way I've always like approached things. I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? It's like they either say no or they say yes. It works out or it doesn't. But I'd rather always just give it a go and then just see. And if I walk away, well, maybe I walk away from my own terms. But a closed door doesn't mean it's like it's the end of everything. It just means
No.
there's an opportunity for you to step through and explore something new.
And there are so many different ways to, like, there are so many different paths to the same location. So this path isn't a particular one. And I've noticed that just by being more free, so many random opportunities come to me that I never would have imagined. And you make different types of friends, and you don't know how that friend is going to be the reason that you end up in this place or other. But an example of that is one of my friends had this initiative where she wanted to provide sanitary items, female sanitary items or whatever to people who couldn't access them, or feminine hygiene products to people who couldn't access them. And so to help her, I hosted the evening. And then there was a person, an illustrator there, who was kind of donating his artwork. He and I started talking. That person was Dapo Adeola, who...
Oh, was it?
Right. And so he then introduced me to his agent when I said, I think I'm ready to write a book. So had I not done that thing for my friend Angel, I wouldn't have met him at that point. And then we build a friendship. And then later on, I'm like, you know what? I think I want to write a book. Okay, why don't you speak to my agent? And then we ended up having the same agent for quite a while. So it's that openness to just whatever. I think that if I'd approached an agent directly, or if I'd done any of that, it wouldn't have had the same outcome.
It's interesting. Like the last couple of conversations I've had with my guests on the podcast is that how they've got an agent, it hasn't been a traditional way.
Oh.
And I mean a traditional way of, going through, finding them, going online, finding them, working out what their submission process is, doing the whole sending off my free chapters, that whole thing, sitting on a slush pile. It's a lot of the last couple, it's been by way of introduction or a chance. It's been a chance meeting.
Yeah.
And actually taking that opportunity. Because I think a lot of people, you create your own barriers. Sometimes it's not even people putting the barriers in front of you, it's you putting these emotional and
barriers in your own way. But
yeah.
It's also, even if they are putting the barriers for you, it's imaginary. They're illusory. They're not real barriers, but we give them credence and we give them legitimacy by believing, or validity by believing in them. It's like literally a game of, I don't know, cops and robbers or playing house. So your friend says to you, this is the house and this is the kitchen. Meanwhile, you're still sitting in the garden, right? But you follow the rules and you're like, this is the kitchen. This is it. You follow the rules, right? And so it's one of those things where you've been told you're not allowed beyond this point. Who says?
Who said so?
I will do what I want.
Have you always been this way? Like from a child?
Yes, I would say so. Pardon me. I think there were moments that I was much quieter due to like trauma and stuff. But then I remember having a dream years back, and I was in a morgue, and I was on the table. It sounds so like sort of morbid.
Well, I write crime, so
right. So I was like, I was on the table in a morgue, and I was looking at myself, and I was so stressed out, and I was like, but how? Why? There's so much that we still need to do, and I still need to do this, and I still need to do that. And it was in that moment, in that dream, and I woke up crying. I was just like, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm doing all of those things, because clearly I was mentioning all of those things in the dream to myself for a reason. And that's really it. Like, nobody's going to live our life for us. And we only know, especially if we are interested in writing and storytelling, what stories do we have to tell if we don't live a life?
How old were you when you had that dream?
I think it was probably in my teens.
Did you tell anyone, or do you just keep that to yourself?
I told my mum, I think, but and she's really good with dreams. And
it seems like a mum. It's a mum or a grandmother conversation. Yeah. That's what I would have. Mum, I had a dream.
Yeah, she was like, "This is from what I understand from your dream. You should stop going out at night. You stop clubbing." Like, how is that what you got from the dream?
That is not what you wanted.
That's not what I said. What? What kind of comprehension is that?
Mine is normally, I had a dream. Someone's gonna die. What? Right. It was a party. No, you dreamt people that's gonna die.
Any little thing. I saw a vision. You shouldn't go out tonight. Interesting, because it's also the night you wanted me to watch My Brothers. Interesting. So yeah, no, it's been great. I shared it with her, but for me, it was such a, that there are some dreams that you don't even need other people to decipher them for you. You just know. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to do all of my things. And it's trial and error, and you figure it out. And I think it's also breaking up with the idea of being perfect, because that can be really hard, especially as Black women. We feel like we're kind of hyper scrutinized in society. I feel like we're seeing an element of that with how Serena Williams is being scrutinized in the mainstream media at the moment, right?
You know what? Because I follow her and I
Mm-hmm.
adore her because I just think she's amazing. And I just thought if it hadn't been Serena Williams, if it had been a white woman who had left tennis, had this
Mm-hmm.
amazing similar on par career,
Like Maria.
left tennis, like Maria, gone into, because she's working with a hedge fund, she's got a hedge
Yeah.
fund company, you know, doing investments, exploring all these different things, doing a makeup brand, and then going off and, you know, losing her weight the way she's done it. But she's also given an explanation as to how she's done it and
Mm-hmm.
why she's done it. I don't think she would get any of the criticism. I mean, I can even say the same thing for what's her name, Meghan Markle, Duchess
Yeah.
of Sussex, because when Nigella and Martha Stewart and Barefoot Contessa is doing exactly the same
Mm-hmm.
thing, there's no criticism. And I think
Yeah.
people can, if you don't have the right mindset, or even having the right people around you growing up, if you're constantly exposed to people just giving you or critiquing you, it can
Mm.
stop you moving forward.
Definitely. And it's all of that. And I think, yes, okay, there's the issue with her husband being an investor in the particular company that she's promoting, but we're so used to that, right? When it's other people, they're allowed to promote the companies that their families are a part of,
Well,
whether
no
they
one questions it.
yeah, no one questions it, right? And she, if it were a white woman, I think there would have been a conversation about how damaging patriarchy is to our perspectives on ourselves.
Yeah.
But then when it's Serena, it's like, oh, she's deeply irresponsible. She's this, she's that. No, she's human, and she's under the same pressures that we are all under in this society. Even more so. Like, for how long were people like likening her to a gorilla, an ape? How can
It
someone
was.
say that about themselves constantly, and you think they won't want to escape their own body, no matter
Yeah.
how much that body has allowed them to achieve?
And even when, have you watched her? I always say we go off on a tangent. Have you seen the documentary, the 7-part documentary
Mm-mm.
about Serena? It's really good. It's currently, it was on BBC and it's on Disney also. And it was a documentary basically about, you know, about her career. And she did it with ESPN. And I read the review and it was in The Guardian. And they were like, you know, when you're talking about your career, obviously you're going to talk about the lows, talk about the health, talk about all the successes,
Mhm.
everything you've done to achieve that. And the article, the review was like, oh, like they didn't see enough of her broken. I'm not, why do you need to see her broken in order to make you feel good about yourself? That's basically, that's how I interpreted it.
Because she's intimidating as a Black woman. That's how they
Yeah.
see it. And they need to see. And again, I think that this is a conversation we can have even within publishing, how uncomfortable certain readers are who are considered to be the mainstream readers with a Black woman or Black protagonist that is together. She's not having a harrowing, discombobulated life. She's pretty much got herself together. It's like, that's just not, I can't buy into that. I don't like that, because
It's not really, it's not authentic.
it's not realistic, it's not authentic. And then it becomes comparative. They start comparing themselves to the character and feeling lesser than in some way. And it's like, no, I don't like this feeling. It's the same when Michaela Cole had I May Destroy You out, and I read a review, I think it was in The Guardian, and the person was, the reviewer said something like, it was fascinating to see these characters, Black people have lives.
I'm trying not to roll my eyes, but it's like, well, what
What did you think we would
were we doing?
Black on Black crime? Clearly, that we're all busy with Black on Black crime and teenage pregnancy. That's what
It's
we were busy doing.
it's frustrating because, you know, when we were talking before we officially started recording, and we were talking about basically, you know, going to Grenada, like basically celebrating culture and respecting culture and enjoying culture, and how, you know, where we live now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just such a narrow viewpoint of people, but
Yes.
also it just reflects more on them. It's like you're so, the way I see it, it's like you're so insecure about yourself
Yeah.
and your position in the world, and that you feel threatened, that you have to transfer all your nonsense onto us and pigeonhole, or attempt to pigeonhole
Yeah.
us.
And that's age old. It's nothing new.
That's
Like
not new.
it's the same formula used all of the time. Like the feelings that the like a dominant demographic or the what they are unable to feel within themselves becomes displaced onto the bodies that are deemed as other, onto the people who are deemed as other. So we have to carry that shadow element that doesn't want to be faced. Black people are violent. Okay, do we want to look at the stats of violence across the world and who commits what? So it's when we were talking earlier about the obstacles, that yes, some obstacles aren't put in our way, but there are so many that are, but they're not really real, right? We're just being made to believe in them. And it's just like looking at different aspects of our lives and going, that's a lie. That's a lie. So I'm going to do what I need to do, because my truth is I can do whatever I want. And that's not to say I'm going to be amazing at everything, but I'm still going to give it my best shot, because there's a learning there. There's a different me to meet in every path that I choose to take.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well. It's like, I said, fighting against being pigeonholed also, because people want you to fit into this cookie cutter image that they have of you. Did you know when when you're moving into publishing and you're moving in that world, and when you think about your background and who you are and what you've achieved, did you ever find that when you did come into publishing that maybe there was an attempt to pigeonhole you? Well, maybe not even just publishing, just in other areas of things
Yeah, but I
that you
think
wanted to do.
yeah, I think publishing is a good example, because prior to, I mean, the reason we have to be honest that I got my book deals is because I already had a platform, right? It's not an easy thing, an easy sell, right? But it wasn't.
It never is.
Never is, but they have you think, oh well, that's how they see it, like, oh well, you've got this number of followers, so if a certain percentage, no,
It doesn't translate.
people will surprise you, actually. No. And
It
so
does.
what plans do you have for me outside of relying on my followers? What plans do you have for me in order to get this book out in the world? And then you know that then there are the bandings, the tiers for the authors as well. And usually we wouldn't be in a tier that's getting the marketing budget or the big marketing budgets and things like that. So it's really relying on us to use our audience. And I feel icky constantly posting that, do buy this, buy that. You know, it just feels odd to me, especially with everything else happening in the world. But I know that I got my deals based on my platform and the fact that, yeah, I could write, but it was primarily because of my platform. So I didn't have to go through a traditional route.
Yeah.
However, this level of whatever I've achieved in the world somehow didn't seem to translate when I was saying that's not going to work for me. We can't take that approach to promote this because that's not going to ring true with my audience. Or if we're going to do this event, please prepare for this number of people to show up. So we should prepare in this way or that way. It was like suddenly the thing that I'm a specialist at had to go out of the window, because it was like, well, you're in this new field now. And I had to then kind of really assert myself and say, no, I've been successful at pretty much anything that I've laid my hands on. And I'm telling you that this isn't going to work. So we should shift it this way. It's kind of like reminding people why you're there, because otherwise you're kind of like thrown in and churned through that whole machine of what publishing is. And then you're just another Black author. And yeah, well, your book is out in the world now. The rest is up to you.
But then this is like the frustrating thing about it, is that what will then happen, and I said this yesterday on Fred, in 6 months' time, because even though you've had the book out, I'm not talking about you specifically, but Black authors, like, they've had the book out, you know, they themselves, they've done everything they can do on social media, but there's only so much you can do in the absence of a marketing budget to help push you. You do everything that you can do, and it's not like there's only one Black author being published a week. There's like there's like multiples, but then they're not being seen. The books aren't being sold, and then for the publishers, sales team, well, you have no sales record. There's no track record. There's no point. And then I promise you, in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, there's an article moaning about, oh, the lack of diversity in the publishing, the lack of diverse authors. What can you do? And you tell them what to do, and then they not, heads are nodded.
Yeah.
Posts are made. And then it's the same old cycle.
Nothing changes. And it's just like lots of hand wringing. And how can we do better? We've told you how you can do better. We've told you, like, stop utilizing a white supremacist structure and framework to do these things. Take risks on some people. Believe in the stories other than problematic protagonists. Like, have them, but have some of the others too. Why are you trying to perpetuate a particular narrative of Blackness through the specific type of people that you do choose to promote? And then there are the people, the authors that are just, they luck out. They've written a brilliant book and they get enough of a budget that they just go clear. And then they'll use that as an example and they'll be like, but this person did it, so why didn't you? And it's just like, no, look at the ways that you help that person do that. Why aren't you doing it for everybody across the board?
I wrote about it in one of my Substack articles. And like, sometimes what happens, they take a one size fits all approach to whether it's marketing or publicity, and that doesn't work. And I don't know why there's a reluctance to accept that. Because you're not saying you're doing a bad job yourself. You're just saying you just need to consider
you have to tailor it to
not
the
saying,
people. Tailor it to the people that you're dealing with. And also, I feel like, controversially speaking, it's hard to have ethics and boundaries. It's hard to have ethics and boundaries when you are an author, a Black author in this industry, I would say specifically, because that one size fits all approach that you mentioned, they now want to send your proof copies out to certain people. Because of that person's politics and what I know of them and what they've promoted, and that I do not, like, politically, I'm not aligned with what is being done. Ethically, I'm not aligned. I don't want my book to go out to them. And it's like, okay, fine, we won't send it to them. Then down the line, when it's like, oh, well, if you'd let us send it to such and such, who knows what would have been happening now? And it's just like, so outside of that, you don't have any other ideas?
I'm only laughing because if I found myself in that situation, I think I'd look at them in the same way I'd look at a client who's basically telling me a load of nonsense when I'm taking their instructions for court. And I'm like, seriously?
Right?
Like, do better. Like, this is what you want me to go to the judge with.
You weren't there.
Like,
you weren't there. Oh, the person on the camera wasn't you. Okay.
I had a client once swearing adamant. It was the best, full facial image I had, telling me, swearing blind, it was not. He goes, that's not me, Nadine. It's not me. I'm like, it is you. No, it's my twin brother. I'm like, twin brother? And then the next court appearance, his mum's there. It's like, you ain't got no twin brother.
Oh my God. Oh. Like, I'm here trying to help you. Please.
I mean, they make for comical moments when you got a story to tell afterwards. But at the time, you're like, seriously?
Seriously, that's what you're going with?
That's what you're going with?
Oh, God. No, but it is a lot of that. But I still remain hopeful because I believe in people and timing, right? And people find the things when they need to find them. It would just be nice if they could find them a lot sooner.
It's just what I've had conversations with talking about social media, and everyone's different. There are some people, they don't mind being on social media, they don't mind promoting themselves, and there are other authors, they just don't. It's just not their thing.
Yeah.
And you hope, even if you're an indie author, you're self-publishing. If you do the work, you'll find your own marketing team, you'll find your own publicity team. But you just hope that even with traditional publishing, that the marketing team, they take you fully on board, and you feel like they're doing their absolute best for you to make it the best book that it can be. And also, it's money, isn't it? You want to sell copies and you want to be able to write more books.
But then what flabbergasts me is that they don't read the book. Like, how am I marketing something that I haven't read? A lot of times they haven't even read the book. They've gone off what your editor has said, and they're like, oh yeah, just put this together. So the messaging is sometimes even off. Like, they don't know what they're promoting of what you've done. You just feel like another number, right? And then literally another ISBN number. And then you think about how much effort and passion you've put into that thing, and it's just another thing. And so I think that things should be different.
When you're talking to, I say, aspiring and up and coming authors, even if it's podcasts, anyone, and they're coming to you to advise, obviously it's so important to see yourself reflected in other people. So when you see someone that looks like you, sounds like you, has the the same background to you, like we were saying, we're both, when Southeast London, it's like, oh, there's something we share. You went using Grenada. I'm like, there's something else that we share. So when someone comes up to you and they're looking for just advice, they don't want you to help them write their book, but they just want some advice. What do you tell? What's like the number one thing you think you would tell them?
Write the story that scares you. Because sometimes we're so concerned with being a good writer, we haven't asked ourselves, like, who are we basing this good writer on? That person is they're a writer in their own right? Like, they're doing their thing, but you're trying to shapeshift into being a mini version of them. Of course, take inspiration. Of course, look at craft and how people do things, But otherwise, just write how you want to write and write the story that scares you, because more time we haven't heard that story yet. Like, we're reading some of these stories over and over again. Give us something else. Like, and if it does happen to be similar, fine, okay, that's not a big deal. But write what scares you. Get it down on the page. You figure out the rest later.
Yeah.
Because I look at how I write. I write the way that I talk. I'm rather direct. I don't necessarily go with like beautiful or not even
Prose.
necessarily beautiful, like beautiful prose and like really verbose kind of. I don't do that because I feel like I write for the people who don't necessarily want to read. And
Yeah.
they think they don't anyway. And then they start reading and they're like, wow, this is so accessible. This is so comfortable. And then the people who do love reading, they're like, yeah, girl, I got through that in an afternoon. I got through that in a day. Whereas the other people, they're taking their time, but they want to keep coming back because there is so much waiting for people in the world of literature if they feel like they also belong.
I'm holding up your book only because I started reading it, and you know what you're saying about it making it accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was starting it reading, because I always feel like I have like a conversational tone. I've always written. I feel like I've always written that way, and I've had to learn to do the prose.
Yeah.
my editor's like, what are they thinking?
Right.
They're talking, but what are they thinking?
What are they doing here?
Yeah, what are they doing? So I've had to learn the prose, and that's all part of being a writer. You learn and you grow. So when I was reading it, even when I was in the doctor's surgery this morning, I was like, no, I feel like it's direct,
yes,
and to the point. Did you have any pushback? Even when I'm looking at your cover, and I'm looking about what your book's about, and it doesn't fit into the cliches that it could be presented about Black authors and the stories we should be writing. Did you have any pushback?
No, not really. Not pushback initially. The pushback came in marketing it.
Really?
Write what you want to write, but then it's like, well, don't know what to call it. Are we calling it science fiction? But Black people don't read sci-fi. Apparently, that's what we're told, right? It then became a case of, well, you wanted to write this. We don't know where it goes. We don't know how to talk about it. Is it spirituality? Is it crime? Is it like, should we say genre bending? It was like everybody was nervous. And it's just like, have you not used all of have you not used all the parts of your brain that you've had access to before? No? Have you never eaten a fruit salad? Like, what's going on here? Like, have you never tried things at the same time?
I'm going to read, I'm just, for the benefits of the listeners, right, of the conversation. So I'm going to read, the inner blurb.
Yes.
And I'll tell you where I would put it and how it sounds to me.
Please.
So it says, a hidden power, a sinister force, a mystery she can't ignore. In a near future London where technology affects everything from our bodies to our politics, journalist Pels Badmus wants to make a real difference. She's desperate to solve a spate of disappearances of young Black kids involving her friends, including her friend's brother. Right, so I'll just stop there. So immediately, for me, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm like, okay, for me, that's speculative fiction crossed with crime. That's high concept.
Yes.
They're always asking for high concept, but no one actually defines what high concept is.
No.
But to me, it's speculative fiction, crime, high concept. Off you go.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not, and
it's
I don't
not
mean
hard.
It's not hard, and not in a derogatory or diminish you in your talents. It's nothing special in terms of where to place it.
But then that is the thing. We are made to feel like conundrums because it's not streamlined. Like, I didn't give you a straight romance, or I didn't give you a straight. So then it's like, oh, well, heavens, what shall we do? And, it talks about this sinister underworld, and then it brings in spirituality. I'm sure that there are a number of books written by white authors that do the same thing. What's the issue?
I'm just thinking, I don't know, and listeners can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it's Lauren Burks who wrote The Shining Girls, and it's crossed like crime, but with time travel.
Yeah,
it's a speculative fiction. It's crime fiction with a twist,
right? And that's fun. It's fun. Like, why do we have to kind of stay within one space? Like, it's so fun for me anyway to experiment. And it's like, it's not even an experiment, because how I tell stories to my friends, I might as well be doing, all of this.
I feel like, but that's just life, and it's just who you are. No, I say, as people, you're not just one thing.
Yeah,
you're made up of so many things. It's all your experiences, all your interests. Anyone who listens to this podcast knows, they know I love, I'll repeat it, like, they know I love comic books, but they know in my previous life I was a criminal solicitor. They know I come from Grenadian parentage and I live in Southeast. Like, I'm made up of so many different
Yes.
things. And to not think that anyone can have that reflected in their writing, or not think they want to write different things, it does, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
Hmm. And that's what I think about it too, because all of those experiences that we have, they're going to feed into how we tell stories, because we're going to bring in all of those aspects that make us us, that have influenced us. All of those things are going to come in.
Do
So
you think,
it's
sorry to cut you, do you think it's more accepting when people are, let's say black people of color are making films or TV shows to have that diverse range of interest in, but when it comes
no.
to different, I was thinking no, because then I was thinking about, I know Sinners.
I was literally thinking the same one. Ryan
Yeah,
Coogler as a person, Ryan Coogler as a creative has Hollywood by the neck, because he is like, I want to tell stories this way, and it will be layered with a colonial or an anti-colonial remembering, not a misremembering. I'm going to tell stories, even how Wumi Mosaku was cast as the love interest in Sinners, amongst the other ways in which she showed up in that story,
yeah.
right? All of those things are so important, and they go against what Hollywood has been telling us for a long time. And he talks about the fact that he does get pushback. And at the end of the day, he does all of that. And during lockdown, goes to the bank to try and get money out of his account. And they call the police. The bank called the police. So the funniest thing and the sad thing is that no matter which worlds that we actually create for others to inhabit, we still have to inhabit this one.
Yeah. It just reminds me, like, where we weren't talking about my book specifically. I was talking to
Mhm.
another author, and they have they have a main character, it's a crime book, main character's black. And when
Yeah.
they were talking to production of production, I can't see producers. So when they talk to production companies
Mm.
and producers, the pushback was, well, we've already got a black detective. We've already got a black whatever. Can't we have like another Top Boy? And you're like, well, I haven't written Top Boy, and I don't
But
want
and
to
how
write
many
Top
top boys do you
Boy.
already have? So we should have more Top Boys, but not more Luther. And who
Basically,
and who wrote Top Boy also? What
I forgot
demographic
this.
of man
Yeah,
wrote Top Boy? And what kind of caricature, what kind of stereotype are we perpetuating? I mean, everyone had a good time watching it, of course. People got paid, of course. But it's just interesting what they will do. And I'm not surprised that your friend had a similar thing, because Edge of Here, as my, short story collection that came out first, there are great stories in there. I imagine that, it's going to get snapped up. It'll be like an 8-part kind of anthology sort of vibe on one of the streaming sites. But the issue became, they're all black protagonists. Like, how is anyone going to relate to this?
I try not to swear to get frustrated, 'cause I just like to have good conversations, and then it is a good conversation. But if anyone listening in, you can understand where the frustration comes from.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
like, cause if I look at my own series, my book series that I write, and I've got a black female detective, and I
Hmm.
guarantee, September's soon, or maybe when this
Hmm.
comes out, will be September, and it's always usually the time when the new TV shows are coming
Yeah.
out, and I guarantee whatever side of the ocean you're on, there will be a spate of TV shows featuring detectives,
Yeah.
whether it's white female detectives or white male female detectives, but somehow they can't really go that extra step to have like another black female led
That's
detective
all.
show, which makes no sense at all.
Right, I can't even tell the difference between some of them, all the detective shows they have. The Bear did so well as a kitchen cooking, restaurant, whatever drama. Yeah, we can invest in more kitchen based or restaurant based. Rah rah rah. Like, we can have endless. I think I even noticed it when I was still like actively looking for work as an actor. And you'd look at agents and they would say, "Oh, we've already got somebody like you on our books. We're different heights, we're different sizes, really, but they've already got a black actress, so it's fine." But you go through their gallery of all their other actors, and you'll probably find 5 blonde girls, 5'5" with green eyes.
How do you stay on your path then, Kelechi? How do you stay centered? How do you keep going?
Because I
Because
remind myself that none of this is real. People, we're just dealing with humans who are playing make believe. and you can believe what you want, and I can believe what I want, and may the best believer win. Like, it is really that simple. We can't get so bogged down, because obviously it is hard. So I'm not even trying to be overly whimsical about it, but it's really, when you break it all down, none of this is real. Every single thing that we are interacting with and we have to navigate in terms of our careers and our lives, essentially all of it is made up. And so how are made up things holding us down so much? Like, I don't want to play the game. I don't want to play that level of make believe. So I'm just not going to. I'm going to do my things. And I've decided that I'm mother of London, and that's it. Somebody else might say that they're also mother of London. That's fine. Every mick will make a muckle, or whatever they say. Like, so yeah. So it's fine.
I always say, when I'm teaching the law students, and I say, listen, sometimes you have to tell yourself a story just to push yourself through the door, because a lot of our obstacles, they're mental obstacles. So I say, listen, if you've got to wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am the king, I am the queen, I'm whatever, I'm the best gamer in the world. Whatever story you need to tell yourself, you need to tell it and then keep moving, because a lot of it is mental.
And that's why the kind of war, if somebody wanted to call it that, is on the mind. It's not really on anything else. Firstly, it's the mind, because once you believe something, you're just that much easier to control. So I just don't want to believe anything that's a waste of my time. And whether that's you're an author that hasn't sold loads, that's on you. That's not on me. I am an author that sold loads when I'm in the right environment, when I'm pushed in the right way, right? So it's what it is.
So I just get not for myself. I just get frustrated for, I said, anyone up and coming, an author, say an author of color, and anyone considered marginalized, and they look sometimes, they open whatever social media platform of the week it is that week, or they open up a magazine, newspaper, and they don't see themselves, or they just hear themselves spoken about in a negative way. And it just makes them stop and second guess themselves. I just think that's sad, because we work so hard.
Yeah. And I think I feel that way even when I go to the airport. I say to myself, one day I'm going to see my book at the airport,
or I haven't seen mine yet.
To these bookstores, and I'll see more than maybe one copy of my book available in its own time.
What did you do on publication day when Awaken came out? Because I'll be honest, when it dropped through the letterbox and I opened it and I was like, what? I thought, well, I said something else worse than that, because it was like, wow, okay, this, right, about time,
right? No,
unapologetic.
I had like a launch party, and it was nice. I got some patties from Baker's Dozen in Brixton, because their patties are serious. Every opportunity to eat, you will find me there. Every opportunity.
Like
so
food.
Once I thought book launch, I thought patties.
Oh, then what's your favourite? I say I'm traditionalist. I like a beef patty.
I love a cheesy beef patty.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I really like a cheesy beef patty. Beef patty or cheesy beef patty, then it's a chicken patty after that, right? But Baker's Dozen, you can get lobster, you can get oxtail. It's good. In fact, now that I've said that, don't be surprised if you see me driving there later.
No, don't be surprised. I'll tell my mum's here. I'll be like, let's go and get some patties.
Take her out.
She'd love it.
Treat her.
So you had your party, you had your patties.
Yeah. And it was great because my friend Richie Brave, he's a presenter on One Extra.
Yeah.
He was the one that interviewed me to chat about the book, and I just loved it because my son was there, and I don't post him on social media, and he's getting to that age. He's 5, he's going to be 6 soon, where he's like being approached by people, and I follow your mum on social media, or I know your mum, and he's like, he keeps asking me, what do you do, like what, and he's got every copy of the books, and he keeps them, and he's got when I was the front cover of one of the bookseller magazines, he's got that by his kitchen. He's got his own little kitchen on the side. So he's placed that by there. So he's like, I know she does something. I just don't know what she does. So it was nice to have him there at the book launch, and he kind of got an understanding of things. And I think he's still trying to get that understanding. But that was the best part for me, just having him.
It's so important for the kids. I remember my friend's son, he must have been 7 at the time. He took my book to school. He had no business taking his book to school, because this book is not made for children. But he took it to school, and he's like, my auntie Nadine made this. I was like, bless him.
I love that. And they just don't have no clue. They have no clue that there are words in here that are above
None
your
of them.
grade, but but they'll take it, and it's just seen their sense of pride in us, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important. So when we think about how we move through life, look at how these 6, 7 year olds are looking at us, right? And how our 6 year old self would feel like seeing the life that we live now. Like there's no reason to not continue.
No. And I think that's probably where the frustration comes from. It said, you know, I remember like growing up and always my dad, you know,
Mm.
it's that same old mantra. You got to work 10 times as hard, all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
you do. But they
Mm.
never told me I could never not do anything or not be anything I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to be. So all that encouragement is there. And you just, it's that, well, that expectation of anyone. If you do the work, you'll get the reward. And
Yes.
then the frustration comes when you feel like you're not getting the reward
Exactly.
for it.
Right. Because
You want to
we
do it not only for yourself, but for anyone coming up behind you to be like, well, they did it. I can do it too.
and it's just letting them know along the way that
Oh,
we
you
can
muted.
absolutely do this. Oh, am I? Can you hear me?
There
Am
you
I
go.
back? Yeah. We can absolutely let
Oh, you're
them
still
know that.
muted. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
Yeah. Let me see.
am I back?
Hold on. Talk now.
Nothing's muted. Hello? Nothing's muted
Yeah,
on
I can
my
hear
end.
you.
It's
Maybe it was me. Maybe it was me, but you're
okay.
good now. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think we just keep encouraging people. We keep encouraging people. And I always say, like, my experience might not be your experience. You might be the black author that comes through and cuts through. Like I would be so elated if that's the case.
Yeah.
However, I'm noticing a pattern. And so because of that pattern, let's be mindful of this, that, and the other. So you don't have to go through some of the things that some of us have already experienced. But the
Yeah.
nature of the industry is that no matter how much you prepare, you'll still be finding yourself with some curveballs, and some things just don't change. No matter how much you're promised, oh, we're going to do this for you and that for you, you still find yourself in the same space. But the books have destinies of their own. We are vessels that these ideas have come into the world. The books will live on beyond us, regardless of people who want to burn books. The books will live on beyond us. And all we've got to know is that we just keep doing what we love, and the world shifts around that. It has to. The more of us that do it, it just has to.
Yeah. Before I go on to ask you about Awakened, was your experience of writing Awakened different to writing your short story collection?
Yes, I think I was able to channel more clearly when I was writing Edge of Here. Edge of Here, you know, people will ask you, okay, what was your writing process? I'll say, literally, I pray to my ancestors before I start. And I say, any of the great storytellers that are within me, you take the lead, right? And let me know what we're going to write. Didn't have any sort of plan that I'm going to write this, I'm going to write that. It just comes as flashes of like insight, and I just start typing. And I think when I got to one of the final stories, which was Broom, I wanted to meet my deadline. So I was just like, oh, I'm just going to forge ahead. And no matter how much I tried, I would instantly feel sleepy. Whenever I'd go to write it, I'd instantly feel sleepy. And then Queen Elizabeth died. And then I could write again because it made sense, because it needed to be one of the scenes. So every time I was trying to forge ahead, it was like, not now, not now. Whereas Awakened, whilst I was there in a particular type of zone, it wasn't the same zone. It was just like, you can do this, go on, just write. You've got the ideas, just keep going. And it kind of built on it. And I think that there was so much happening in my life at the same time that it was really hard. It was much harder to get into that like zone of channeling. So I think I'm more nervous about how Awakened is received as opposed to Edge of Here, which is odd because I feel
Yeah.
like Edge of Here I had lots of ancestral help, whereas Awakened, it was just like, no, you've got this, go on, do it.
Before I'm going to ask you questions about I'm going to ask you to talk about Awakening, but I had this question written down. Like, it was the first thing I wrote down was, when did you know that words was your thing? Like, write the written word, the oral word. When did you know that was you?
I think forever. Like from when I was in the school plays in primary school, I can remember one of my earliest memories of one of the plays in school. It was the nativity play, and I was a Christmas tree, and I was singing, "There's no one pretty as me. I'm the brightest on the Christmas tree." I was just like, "This is my bag." It's like I couldn't have been more than 7. I said, this is where I'm meant to be at.
My nativity play thing was they made me one of the angels, and I remember being vexed, probably about 6, that I wasn't Gabriel, because Gabriel had a speaking part, and I was just angel number 2, like on the left, and I was like, I just remember being like, I want to talk, I want to be Gabriel, and then the next year they made me the narrator, so I narrated.
You want to talk? You could talk the
Yeah,
whole way.
you could talk. Literally, I could talk the whole way.
Manifesting. Talk the whole way through. Enjoy.
So, actually, who would have thought this whole conversation is that we end up with nativity plays? But here we go. Right. Do you want to tell the listeners of the conversation about your debut novel, Awakened, which has got, for the benefits of those who are not listening, who are not watching us, like I'm showing up this amazing book cover. Just go online and look. There'll be a link in the show notes. Yeah. But it's got this amazing black woman on the cover, and your name's in gold.
Yeah. And the illustration for the cover design was done by Aisling Art. So Aisling. Aisling.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Art. Yeah, just amazing. Like, her art is so great. So it was great to have that as the front cover. So Awakened is about Pels. She's in her late 20s. I imagine her being around her Saturn return, and she is a journalist. She doesn't have as much belief in herself as she should. A relationship that she got into to get over another has gone awry. And at the same time, she's investigating why young black people keep going missing. And when their bodies are found, they're discovered by bodies of water, lakes, rivers, seas, that sort of thing. And she wants to really look into this. And her editor at the Mercury, where she works, is saying to her, that's not important to look into. Focus on hip hop like your people like to, that sort of vibe. And in fact, why didn't you go and research the uprisings or the riots that are happening in Benin as a result of the locals being unhappy with these resorts that are popping up to offer spiritual retreats with the spirit vine? And the spirit vine is sort of my riff on ayahuasca that people drink in order to have these hallucinations and these deep spiritual experiences. So when she goes there and drinks the vine, she actually discovers that she's got dormant superpowers, and these are very important for how she goes about unearthing even more information about what exactly is happening to these young black people that are going missing.
Okay, so I've got 2 questions that follow on from Awakened. So the first one is, did you face any challenges when writing Awakened?
Just life challenges, really, like just things happening in life. But I think they all contributed to me being able to write the story. I think I was going through a divorce at the same time as writing, and all of these things are really useful. And it's, I don't know how callous one might think it to say, but it really helped to kind of ground Pels. Having that experience, you've started this thing. You're like, I want to do this thing. I want to go through this process of divorce, and knowing that translated into the autonomy that Pels also needed to have at a particular point in her life as well. It was just really fascinating to me. But the challenges that I faced personally were really great in order to be able to write a black woman that I believe in.
Yeah. Okay, so if you could spend an afternoon with any of your characters from Awakened, whom would you choose and why?
Jeremy Bromwich. Jeremy Bromwich is the AI. He's the humanoid who is running for mayor of London. And the way I imagine him in my head, he's so fine. I know he's made of wires and plastic that feel flesh-like, but he smells so good. I would like to spend an afternoon with Jeremy Bromwich.
If you could see the smile on this woman's face right now as she talks about this character. Okay. Kelechi, we got our last set of questions. So, are you an introvert or extrovert, or a hybrid of the two?
Introvert, very introverted.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You would not think so.
And people are always shocked when I say this. And I think that when people... Yeah, right. And when people meet me in public, I think they expect me to be on, right? They're like, oh, I just thought you're so outgoing. But look at all my videos. Most times I'm by myself, right? I'm by myself.
Yeah.
share my thoughts. I'm not with anybody else. Or if I'm maybe on a podcast, I've gone on that podcast, I've done that. But after that podcast, I'm probably in bed for the rest of the day, or I'm doing stuff at home. I go for my runs, which energize me so I can do the rest of the day. But most of the time, you'll find I'm actually alone.
It was one of the things I said to myself when I qualified as a solicitor, even before that as a trainee. I was like, don't make assumptions about people, because the first time I did, and I learned very quickly, I was so wrong. So I always try not to. But I think we all do, and it kind of plays on this social media side of things, isn't it? It's that people, what they see on social media, they think that's who you are. So when I've been called out for walking straight past people, because I'm like, yeah, I'm outgoing and stuff, but when I'm out on the road, I'm in my head. So I will walk past people. I walk past family. My cousin had to knock me with the pram because I was walking past.
All right. Damn. But it is so true. When I'm walking in and around Peckham, as I like to do, people are like, oh my God, it's you. And they look down and I've got bags in my hand of shopping. So who did you think was doing my shopping for me? Who's going to buy my meat and my fish? Of course it's me. Like, to me, it's just like, it's normal things. And they go in for a hug and it's like, I don't know you. Like, they know me from seeing me online, or they think that they know me. But to me, this is just another person that's just come up to me. And so I've had to learn how to kind of embrace that and be more open to that. And there are people that I do find are rather careless. I won't call them mean, but careless. So when they meet me, it's just like, oh, I just thought you'd be more fiery in person because you're always giving it online. And it's like, what are you even talking about? Even when you go back to watch the videos or whatever that you're referencing, I just speak in a very direct way. Yeah. You're hearing it in your head and how you perceive Black women, albeit you being a Black woman too, you're hearing shouting. I am not shouting.
How do you deal with the social media side in respect of, when people say, oh, you're so direct, and some people can take that as being direct and interpret in their head as being, well, you're just confrontational, you're just being aggressive. Yeah, it's like all the standard nonsense. But how do you manage that when that's sliding into your DMs and people taking issue and then they're there with the comments?
Most times I block, and if I've got a bit of time on my hands, then I just cuss them a little bit and then I block. Because
just a little bit.
Like, you'll find what you're looking for. Don't ever worry. In this life, ask and you will receive, right? So like, you just go ahead. But most of the time I just block, because I just understand that so many people are deeply invested in the illusions of this society. So when you are somebody who, just by living as you are, it challenges everything that they know of the world or how they know the world to be, there's going to be some pushback. And so it's really understanding that most of the time, how people behave is not about you. Rarely are people actually focusing on us. We are in our own world, all of us, right? And there was a book I read a while back, and the author said, people treat you how they treat you, not because of who you are. It's, they treat you how they treat you because of who they are. Because I can be the most annoying person in the world, but how you choose to take me on is down to you and your personal values and how you behave and whatever else, so it becomes less about us. That's not to say our actions are without impact, but it's more saying how people react. It's up to them. Yeah. So when I see people doing that, I just think, have a great time. I don't care.
Have a great time. So what challenge or experience, good or bad, in your life shaped you the most?
I would say, trigger warning, child abuse would be sexual child abuse that I faced around the age of like 7. I think it shaped me because for a while, for years in fact, I was really in myself, and I would look back on school reports and they'd say, oh, Kelechi's very talented and really good at this and really good at English and all of these things, but she's so moody. And I just wonder, if I wasn't a little Black girl, would you have called it moody? Right? And having to come out of that shell and find a way to make the world safe. So my focus in life is to make the world safe for the little girl in me, but then to make the world feel safer for the children in all of us, really, because nobody does what they do in this life without a wounded inner child, like a wounded inner world. And for the most part, we all deserve to live in a safe society. And that's what drives me in terms of speaking out about certain things, in terms of, society, writing the books the way that I write it. I just feel that there's so much beauty in who we are that goes unseen, and words are spells, and we have to write the magic back into our lives, especially as people of color, but specifically as Black women.
Okay. So if you could go back to when you were 25 years old and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Do everything exactly the same.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. I mean, because everything has informed who I am now. Like, there are certain things, like, people are still on my neck because I taught a twerk workshop in 2017, because that's really about. I taught a twerk workshop in 2017 in Israel, right? I taught it because at the time this girl was asking me, and I just started doing my own thing. I just opened my studio, I think, in Peckham at that point. So I'm trying to build what I'm doing, and I'm talking to her on, an interpersonal level. And so whenever I talk about the things that I talk about now, you'll get some kind of bot or a burner account that will say, "But didn't you teach a twerk workshop in 2017?" Yeah, but I didn't have a private meeting with Netanyahu. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, actually, it's through going there that I was able to see for myself, like, wait, what's going on here then? Right? Sometimes that people have their own ways of learning, and we all learn at our own pace, right? And through having that experience, it really helped me. But I wouldn't change it, right? Some things you actually do need to see for yourself, experience for yourself, so you move with more responsibility or accountability going down the line. So as uncomfortable as certain things have been, I wouldn't change it, because at the end of the day, I'm a soul having a human experience because I wanted to learn what it is to be human. And that comes with some things. It's a roller coaster. So be it.
Okay. So what is your non-writing tip for writers?
Always give yourself the grace to be more mad than the person that's being mad with you.
I like it. I love the non-writing tip question.
Sometimes be madness with madness. Why not? Why do you have to be the same one? Yeah, why do you have to be the same one? Why do you have to be the bigger person? Bigger personism is dead. If they go low, lie down on the ground. If they go low, dig a hole and go under. If they go low, get the tube. Central line specific.
I would say the Northern Line. I don't like the Northern Line, but anyway, go deep.
I think that's the closest we actually get to hell. But yeah, really, that all of this decorum out the window. If somebody wants to show you madness, show them that there is always somebody out there in the world who can be madder.
So finally, Kelechi, where can listeners of the conversation find you online?
I am on @Kelechi, or you can find me on my website, KelechiOkafor.com. That's where I do like the tarot, and I've got my members area, and I'm just out here just doing my little things.
How did you get into the tarot? I had someone else who does. Kelly, oh God, I've got their last name, Garrett. One American author. Yeah, she does tarot.
Oh yeah, no, I got into it around 2016. I just loved the cards. I just kept seeing the cards over, and I've seen the cards all throughout my life, but I started seeing them more around 2016, and I just thought, I want to know what all of these are about. I want to learn more about them, and I just took to them. I just had a natural affinity with them, and when I would read for people, they'll be like, "That is so accurate. That's scarily accurate." And so for years, I would just do it for friends and family until people started reaching out to me and saying, "Could you do a reading for me?" And to now we've gotten to the point where I do like the in-person readings at my office as well. And I really love it. It's one of my favorite things to do in life.
I always think you need to just enjoy every different facet of yourself and explore it. And don't be boxed in.
Yeah, stop trying to find reasons. I think that our brains are reason-making things, and sometimes it comes to the wrong conclusion. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. Just live life.
Exactly. And on that perfect let's just live life note, just leaves me to say, Kelechi Okafor, thank you so much for being part of the conversation.
Thank you, Nadine.